As some of you might know, I recently got back from a trip to sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. The reason for that trip was to visit the Halloween and Party Expo in the sprawling Mirage Hotel. This was a few firsts for me, including my first time flying and my first time visiting so far away from home. The flight was definitely an experience. My butthole was about as tight as it could get from the moment I stepped on to the moment we landed. Once there, I started my journey, seeing the sights, getting approached constantly for different ways to relieve me of my money, and chilling in my pretty cush hotel room with an impressive view, which I stupidly did not get footage of. A few notable moments in this trip were a stop at Nightmare Cafe, the restaurant attached to the popular Nightmare Toys. The food and atmosphere were right up my alley. It felt like a dive bar with plenty of horror memorabilia and art, and the food was way above what you'd expect given the surroundings. More like an upper scale sit-down restaurant and at a good price. I of course got the ghoulies as an appetizer, because they were called ghoulies, and the sorority po' boy. Both were excellent. Another highlight of the trip was a random occurrence. On my way to search for pizza, I ran into the Mirage's nightly fire show, which was very impressive. This clip probably doesn't convey just how hard the tribal drums hit. There was also plenty more scenic, odd, and humorous scenery to take in, including this trash on the ground, which featured an ad for a strip club with a questionable mascot choice. Lastly, for the sightseeing that I was aware enough to capture footage of was Planet 13, which is basically a mall for weed. Besides the dispensary, it includes a restaurant, clothing store, and a pretty cool van set up to take pictures in. Finally, at the Expo, which is basically a trade convention for Halloween and party stores, I ran into a few cool people, including Nightmare Christie, owner of the aforementioned Nightmare Toys, Grim Collective, who were very nice, and most excitingly for me, Tim Clark. He's the original creator of Boglins, which I'm a huge fan of. We talked for quite a while and I probably acted like the biggest fanboy he ever met. I also got to see a lot of cool products. I managed to get some footage even though I was trying to live in the moment as much as I could. But the highlight of the trip for me was definitely a chance to flex a pretty big passion of mine. Hamburgers. The perfect food. And there were a few places here where I would get to try hamburgers for the first time. I stopped at 4 places, most of which might not seem that special to you depending on where you live, but they're places that are nowhere near where I live, so I was pretty excited to finally get to try them. Number 1 came almost immediately after arriving and getting a long nap. It was Wahlburgers, just a short walk away from my room. It's of course notable for being owned by the Wahlbergs of rap and pop music fame, and something I've been wanting to try forever. As a quick aside, at every stop, I got the standard cheeseburger from each place in double form, and fries or onion rings depending on how I was feeling. In this case, it was the double-decker with fries. Honestly, the burger was good, nothing that would blow your mind, especially for the price. This was the most expensive place of the 4. The fries were next level though. I'm pretty sure they were battered in ice cream or something. I highly recommend them. Overall though, you're there for the burger and it was lacking. 2 out of 4. The next burger stop was actually the very next morning for breakfast. Also just a short walk from my room, and probably the one I was most excited about, and that was In-N-Out. A place that has been hyped up to me for a long time, and it delivered. I got the double animal style and fries, and it was delightful. The sauce and grilled onions was an exception I didn't give the others, but I'll still say the meat had a better taste than even Wahlburgers. The fries were great, and the price was good too. It was probably overall the best of the bunch, and gets an easy 4 out of 4. Number 3 is Jack in the Box. Probably the least special of the 3 in some eyes, but still pretty exciting for me. I traveled to a very questionable part of town for this, but I'm still glad I did. I'm also glad I didn't get murdered. I got the double Jack, and in this case the onion rings. The burger, especially for the location, was pretty impressive. It actually beat out Wahlburgers, which I would never have guessed. The onion rings were fine, and I did get to try a fry from a friend, which were also pretty good, about on par with In-N-Out. 3 out of 4, a solid choice. And lastly, number 4, the one that almost didn't happen, Shake Shack. I had all but accepted I'd missed it, but then fate stepped in. The gate of our return flight had one, and I had an hour to burn. Tell me that isn't divine intervention. I got a double Shack burger and fries. One note, I had to request onions, which is a crucial component for me, and was naturally included everywhere else automatically. So there's that, and surprisingly and sadly, this was the most disappointing burger of the 4. It had the least flavorful meat, and the fries were literally frozen crinkle cuts you can purchase yourself at a grocery store. Between that and the price, so far only rivaled by the Wahlburgers, this was an easy 1 out of 4. Very disappointing. But I am still glad the fates allowed me to get it in before I left. And as a final ranking recap, I have In-N-Out on top at 4 out of 4. Almost lived up to the unattainable hype I've built up over the years. Tastiest of the bunch and at a solid price to boot. Jack in the Box comes in at a surprising 2nd place. I did not see that coming, but it is a very strong choice if you're wanting a quality burger. Wahlburgers comes in at a disappointing 2 out of 4. They boasted the most about their meat, and while the burger was fine, it was nothing too special. The fries were a surprise, but the burger should be the star. That and the crazy high price, this easily could have come in last, but that distinction goes to Shake Shack, the most disappointing, with a 1 out of 4. Blandest meat of the 3, a price that almost matched the Wahlburgers. Store-bought fries, a pretty big disappointment. So if you find yourself in Las Vegas, or any place with these 4 burger joints, my recommendation is In-N-Out. Jack in the Box is a fine compromise if you have to make it, and honestly, Wahlburgers is worth stopping just to try the fries. Expect to pay up though. I'd be willing to give Shake Shack a second chance. It was a late night stop in an airport location after all, but still, they should step it up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.